What is the crack, guys? Hope you're all well. This is Finding Yourself with Kyle Duffy. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here and you don't know what I'm about, on my channel I talk a lot about movies, TV shows. I'm very passionate about movie and TV. I talk sports, true crime, gaming as well. I share my thoughts and my reviews on TV shows that I'm passionate for, as well as movies that I've seen recently. I dive deep into true crime documentaries that I really love, and talk about games that I'm really into as well. If you have any interest in any of these topics, then my channel is definitely for you. And if you do enjoy today's video, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel and follow me along my YouTube and podcasting journey. I also have a podcast called Finding Yourself, which is available up on Spotify and Anchor FM, as well as a multitude of other podcast platforms including Google Podcasts, Radio Public and Breaker. So check me out on there if you haven't already. For today's video, I wanted to give you my midweek recommendations. I've been diving deep into a lot of new shows and documentaries on Netflix and Amazon Prime, and I wanted to give you a rundown of the shows I think you should check out, shows that are definitely worth your time, as well as documentaries that I think you'd be really interested in. The two shows I want to discuss today, one is from Netflix, another one is from Amazon Prime, and I'll be discussing the Tinder Swindler and Rooney. If you haven't seen either of these, they're definitely worth your time. I want to dive a bit deep into them, give you a synopsis and why I think you should check them out. First off, I want to talk about Rooney, the documentary around prolific football player Wayne Rooney. It gets into his life, his background. We see the highlights from his career as well as the not so good highlights. It dives into the scandals surrounding his career, his marriage, his family, and it gives you a real good depiction of Wayne Rooney as a person. You know, they had a documentary on his career, I think 2 or 3 years ago. It was presented by Gary Lineker, but it was more of a squeaky clean one. It was almost like a highlight reel that you'd see on Sky Sports, you know, like a top 100 goals or something like that. And because the documentary was presented by Gary Lineker, you know, someone who Wayne Rooney knows, someone in the football world, it wasn't as hard hitting as this Amazon Prime documentary. They didn't ask the hard questions, they kind of pussyfooted around it and didn't dive deep enough. And that's what you need to do in a documentary. You know, it's a chance to bear all. It's a chance to find out things you can't find out watching Sky Sports, watching a game. And they tried to do that with this documentary. Like I said, Wayne Rooney goes through his top highlights in his career, how he started from Everton as a 16-year-old, talks about his move to Man United, his climb up the ladder in the football world, and how he became hailed as the next messiah of English football, dubbed as the English Pele, basically. He kind of goes into his reaction and the effects of all the media coverage he got as a young player, as a young man. Because by the time he was becoming prolific, David Beckham was dropping off. So at that stage, the media needed to swap out one idol for another, and they focused in on Wayne Rooney. And this documentary does show the knock-on effects and sometimes devastating effects having all that pressure on one person can do to their mental psyche. Wayne Rooney talks about how in his first press conference after signing his professional deal with Everton, that he was labelled as tick because he wasn't used to the camera, he wasn't used to answering questions in a crowded room, when all he was a 16-year-old who didn't have the people skills, who didn't have the articulation to talk like that. All he was doing was trying to focus on his football, and that's all I think Wayne Rooney wanted to do for his career. But he wasn't tick, you know, he's just a lad that was focused on his football, who wanted to quietly get on with it and show what he was about on the football pitch and not behind the camera. I don't think he valued that too much. And because he didn't value it and he wasn't prepped for certain press conferences, the media was able to run with the story of, oh, he doesn't know how to read. Oh, he's just a tick football player. He's just a tick scouser. And I think that stuck with him for a long time. And as well as that, you know, they talk about the fact that even though he was a prolific goal scorer and such a talented football player, he didn't have that look that the media wanted either. You know, David Beckham was a great football player, but he was also a handsome guy. You know, so the media were able to run with that. Whereas Wayne Rooney got a lot of stick, he got a lot of abuse. I don't know if he got abuse for his looks in particular, but I think the media ran with that as well. This documentary overall, I would definitely recommend because you can see how the media narratives behind Wayne Rooney affected him as a person. You can see what he went through in certain stages of his career. You can see the dedication that he needed to have to make it to the top level. And if you're a football fan, you'll love this document. I'm a football fan. I'm a Man United fan as well. I absolutely loved it. It was very entertaining, and it's great to get an insider's look at one of the top football players that England has ever produced. So if you haven't checked out Rooney up on Amazon Prime, I would definitely recommend it. If I had to give it a rating, I would give it a 4 out of 5. You know, as a football fan, you're going to be entertained. But like I mentioned, they also dive deeper around the consequences of his scandals, what he was thinking at that time, how Colleen reacted, how they got through it together as a couple, as a family, and how they're living now, how they're still living with that. And they don't kind of play with the questions, they ask them straight, and there's no illusions behind the questions they're asking as well. If you have seen this documentary, I'd love to know your opinions of it and your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you thought they held their punches back like the other documentary on Wayne Rooney's career, or let me know if you thought they were a bit more hard hitting in this one. I'd love to know your opinions in the comment section below. My other midweek recommendation is the Tinder Swindler. I absolutely loved watching this documentary. Me and Leanne, my partner, sat down to watch it this past week and we loved it. The documentary focuses around a guy posing on Tinder as the heir to a diamond fortune. One by one, he strikes up relationships with these women, brings them out on luxurious dates. He promises them a life of luxury, a life of extravagance, plays the part of the loving, caring boyfriend for a couple of weeks, and then once he has their trust and their love, he moves in for the kill and swindles them out of thousands. They interview multiple women who have been swindled by this man in the past, 3 to be exact, and they kind of tell you the story about how these 3 women band together and decide to take him down. And I love how this documentary didn't paint the women who were swindled in this controversy and this scandal as naive, as stupid. They paint them as the masters of their own fate. These women aren't stupid. They just went on Tinder, they went on dates with this guy, and this guy was very good at posing as a rich man. He made sure that he wasn't setting off any red flags when he was there in person. All the swindling was done over the phone, and it was only done once he knew he had their trust. So he was very good at what he did. So you don't really blame these women for falling for it. And I'm glad the documentary didn't take that stance, because it would have been very easy to make these women look gullible to the audience members and viewers, and it would have been very easy for them to be painted as naive women who fell for something so obvious. But in all fairness, it wasn't obvious. Like I said, this guy was very good at what he did and was very convincing. These women were looking to find love on this Tinder app, and this man took advantage of that. He preyed on their insecurities and he made that work to his advantage. The Tinder Swindler really appealed to the true crime fanatic in me. I really love true crime, can't get enough of it. I'm always looking for that next documentary to binge. And if you're looking for that next true crime documentary to binge, Tinder Swindler is the one for you. I think it was rated number 1 up on Netflix for 2 weeks when it came out. It's currently lying at number 4. If you haven't checked it out, I would highly recommend it. Such a hard-hitting documentary. So interesting to see how phones and social media can play a part in us easily getting swindled. You know, there's scams out there every day, but dating apps, we trust dating apps. We trust the apps we download on our phone, and we never realize or think, you know, the person that we're swiping right on or swiping left on is going to be the person to swindle us out of thousands of dollars. Definitely recommend Tinder Swindler if you haven't seen it already. It currently has 96 up on Rotten Tomatoes and a 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb. If you have seen this documentary, I'd love to know your thoughts and your opinions in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I do plan on doing more of these midweek recommendations in the future, so let me know what you thought in the comment section below. If you did like the video, please like and subscribe and follow me along my YouTube and podcasting journey. This has been Finding Yourself with Kyle Duffy. Thanks for listening.